Absolutely, do not let my son find this. The letter from my mill began with such an opening. It arrived a week after she had passed away. Throughout my marriage, she had constantly tormented me. I despised her. What could she possibly want with me now? But as I read on, I discovered her unexpected true feelings. And opening the safe at the location marked with the enclosed key, I was utterly astonished. My name is Julie Smith. I'm 35 and work as an office employee. As years passed, my friends and colleagues married one after another. Feeling left behind, I met David through a friend's introduction. As we were the same age, we hit it off over shared hobbies. David's relentless pursuit led to our swift engagement. David had lived at his parents' home, but he moved into my apartment and our married life began. We both worked, shared household chores, and split the living expenses. Despite our busy schedules, the time we spent together at dinner every evening was my solace.
By the way, are you free this Saturday?
Oh, you mean Mary's thing? The moment the topic came up, it felt as if our warm meal had suddenly gone cold. David, noticing my demeanor, furrowed his brow.
Sorry, I know my mom's been causing you a lot of stress.
No, it's fine, David. While maintaining a calm facade, I sighed deeply in my heart. His family home is nearby, and his father passed away before our marriage, leaving his mother living alone. However, the relationship between her and me could never be described as good.
At 35, you lack manners. What kind of upbringing did you have? My dog John is much better behaved.
She mocked me with a laugh, petting her dog's head as I spilled tea from nervousness during our first meeting.
You're not suitable for my son. I oppose this marriage.
She declared in such a manner, leaving me feeling utterly despondent. Yet, David stood by me.
No matter what you say, I will marry Julie. I love her.
He declared firmly in front of his mother, and I was moved by David's words. Despite Mary's opposition, we got married. However, her presence began to cast a shadow over our newlywed life.
Poor David, having a wife like Julie. I'll properly educate her, so come to our house on your days off.
Saying such things, Mary began summoning me to her home almost every week. David came with me, but would often retreat to another room under the guise of sorting his father's belongings, leaving me alone with her. She made me do household chores, criticizing everything I did.
Look, Julie, the kitchen is a mess.
Oh, I was just about to clean it.
The seasoning in the stew you made is too strong, not tasty at all. How many times do I have to teach you? Training John was far easier.
I'm sorry.
Really, you're a lost cause no matter what task you're given. Plus, you're neither young nor beautiful. I wonder what David saw in you to marry you.
Her unkind words kept coming, and I grew increasingly exhausted.
It's okay, Mom just hasn't seen your good side yet. I'm here to protect you, so don't worry.
On the way back from his family home, I was always saved by my husband, who would say just that. That's why I tried to mend things with her, visiting her alone on weekends. But no matter what, her attitude remained stubborn. I refused to give in and forced a smile. Mary, would you like to live with us? Our apartment allows pets.
Live together? No thanks. I'd rather live alone with this dog than with you.
Saying that, as she petted the head of her golden retriever, all I could do was bite my lip. I had suggested living together several times, but she always refused, blaming me. To outsiders, we must have looked like the worst mill and daughter-in-law pair. Initially, I wanted to make an effort. However, no matter how much I tried to bridge the gap, her cold attitude only escalated. Despite my efforts to improve myself, I realized I was simply being bullied as a daughter-in-law.
You are a disgrace to our family. Please divorce him.
Finally, being told even that, I reached the limits of my patience. I came to hate her, and from then on, I reduced my visits to her house and kept our interactions minimal. Just when I thought I had managed to find a balance with her, 3 months into our marriage, David's behavior changed.
Damn it. Why is it always me?
It seemed his work wasn't going well. Whether it was out of frustration or something else, he began lashing out at me and objects around him. One day, after a call with his boss, he suddenly smashed a matching mug we bought while dating. Picking up the shattered pieces, I sighed deeply. Well, how did it come to this? Where did the kind David go? His rages had become a daily occurrence. The first time I saw him like this, I was paralyzed with fear and couldn't move. He broke a cherished music box from our dates and even a Baccarat glass worth hundreds of dollars. But I couldn't respond. When I did confront him, he kicked me out of the house. I had no choice but to wait outside the locked door, hoping David would let me back in. The fear from that moment lingered, and I silently endured until his storm passed.
Well, not amusing. I'm going out to shop for a distraction.
Again, you went yesterday and the day before, didn't you?
Shut up. Don't order me around.
But you haven't given me this month's share for the living expenses.
I've already spent that.
Initially, he would give me a portion of his salary, but soon all his money went to collecting luxury brands, straining our finances. As David had been spoiled by his parents, he lacked financial sense. After marrying, I explained the cost of living, but it didn't seem to resonate with him.
If you're depending on me for living expenses, then earn more yourself. Useless.
He cursed at me and left the messy living room, not returning that day. Left alone, I cleaned up the room, eventually crying. I didn't know he was this kind of person. I regretted my poor judgment in men, but it was too late for regrets. I wished to talk and improve things, but that seemed impossible. Even if I wanted to talk to someone, Mary, the closest person, wouldn't listen. Feeling lost, I began to contemplate divorce, even though our marriage was still new. But just as I started to think about it, something happened. What? Mary has. Upon receiving a message from David during work, I immediately left early. The reason was that Mary suddenly passed away, although she had been energetically walking John just a few days before. I never got to be close with Mary in the end. Despite hating her, the thought of her being gone filled me with sadness and regret. Arriving at the hospital, I found David trembling beside his mother's lifeless body. She had missed a step on the stairs and hit her head fatally. I took it upon myself to arrange the funeral in David's stead as he was in shock and unable to act. For the sake of David, sunk in grief, and as atonement to his mother, I busied myself throughout the wake and the funeral day. David only managed to give the mourner's speech. During the funeral ceremony, he even seemed to nod off. Yet, He carelessly spoke to Mary's relatives about the poor relationship between Mary and me. Because of this, I was met with cold stares, making the time feel like sitting on pins and needles, and I couldn't properly say goodbye to Mary. The day after the funeral,
I want a divorce.
what? Before I could accept Mary's death, he suddenly presented me with divorce papers.
I married you for your money from the start. But now that I'm getting my mom's inheritance, I don't need you anymore.
Told in such a matter-of-fact manner, I couldn't hide my shock and surprise at this revelation I had not known. Didn't you care about me at all? You said you loved me, didn't you?
What? That was obviously a lie. Who would willingly marry someone ugly like you?
That's cruel.
Well, what's really cruel is how deceived I was by you. Thought you had money because you're older, but you're just stingy.
He looked at me as if I were something repulsive. Shocked by his harsh words, I was too hurt to do anything but stand there.
So, sign this and mail it to my parents' house. I'm leaving.
After thrusting the divorce papers at me, David left the apartment and never returned. Left suddenly alone, I couldn't organize my feelings, and tears flowed uncontrollably. A few days later, a week had passed since Mary's funeral. With my husband gone, life returned to its usual routine, and I went back to work, resuming my job. Being busy helped me forget the unpleasantness. During those busy days, I started to think positively about the divorce. It felt like it was all tough, but I'll forget it all and start over. But right after I resolved to move on, I found an envelope in the mailbox when I got home from work one day. Seeing it was from Mary, I gasped. A letter from Mary, for me? Surprised that she sent it to me instead of her only son, David, I opened the envelope with trepidation. Can't be true. Could such a thing really happen? Shaking with fear, I read the letter.
Please do not let my son find this.
It described unspeakable things and included a key to a specific location. The letter contained an address, and I immediately left the house to head to the specified location. It was a safety deposit box at a bank. Using the password and key from the letter, I opened the box to find a shocking truth waiting for me. It seems the contents of the letter were true. Now, I need to gather evidence. To acquire what Mary had left, I visited David's family home.
What? You brought the divorce papers.
I'll send those later. I came because I was worried about John. The dog, having lost his owner, was cowering in Mary's room but ran over wagging his tail when he saw me. He is looking poorly cared for and with dull fur. Can I take him home with me? The letter from Mary stated,
Please take care of John.
So I asked David.
That's perfect. I was thinking of dumping him in the mountains later.
Then, can I also take John's toilet and toys? As I said this, holding back my rising anger, David was overjoyed.
Yeah, take it all as a separation gift. Take everything.
While pretending to gather John's belongings, I seized the opportunity to retrieve the evidence Mary had hidden and left his family home. Back at my place, examining what she left behind, I came to understand the sudden reason for her demise and was overwhelmed with tears again. Well, Mary, how frustrated you must have been. I will clear your name. Angered, I vowed to exact retribution on the root cause of all this. 2 days later, ready with my plan, I called David to my apartment. Despite the recent funeral, He arrived dressed in flashy brand name clothes and expensive accessories. How did you afford those?
Well, it's from my mom's savings.
His words ignited my fury. You know I fronted the money for your mom's funeral expenses, right?
Of course, the wife should pay that.
With a smug smile, it was clear he had no intention of paying even a single cent. Clenching my fist, I decided to confront him with the truth. I received a letter from Mary. It included a key to a bank safety deposit box. Guess what was inside? His previously brazen attitude vanished, replaced by a strained expression.
No way.
It seems you've realized. There, I took out my smartphone and showed him the photos I had taken of the contents of the safety deposit box.
So it was there all along. I've been looking for it.
The box contained documents related to the family estate, including property deeds and stocks.
Hey, that's mine. Where is it now? Give it back to me.
He advanced towards me aggressively with bloodshot eyes. Unfortunately, I can't do that. Do not give the inheritance to David. That was your mother's will.
What? What are you talking about?
You know exactly why. Saying that, I presented David with a copy of the letter that had arrived from Mary. Your dad died while fishing with you, didn't he? According to the letter, a few days before the accident, David had begged his father for money as he had accumulated debts from living beyond his means, and was consequently disowned. But soon after, his father died under suspicious circumstances, and both Mary and David inherited his estate. Mary always suspected you were after the money and had something to do with your father's death.
That's nonsense. Everything written there is a lie.
After shouting that, my husband tore up the letter into pieces, despite it being just a copy.
First off, there's no way my mom would entrust something so important to you. You were like cats and dogs.
That's not true. Your mother was actually worried about me. Indeed, Mary's coldness was her way of protecting me from David. Knowing her son's true nature, she acted harshly to push me towards divorce, to save me from being exploited by him. Mary's letter contained apologies, gratitude, and her wish for me to find happiness. Your mother was actually a just and kind person, yet you went as far as to harm her for the inheritance. Tears involuntarily spilled from my eyes. But David, looking at me with cold eyes, smirked dismissively.
What? What are you talking about? Keep your fantasies in check.
Unfortunately for you, it's no mistake. The footage from the camera your mother left is right here. I informed him that I had obtained evidence, as mentioned in the letter from his mother. That was also written in the letter from Mary. After squandering his father's inheritance, David began to demand money from his mother. Feeling threatened, she had installed video cameras throughout the house. I secretly collected these cameras when I went to pick up John. And upon reviewing the footage, I was utterly shocked. The footage revealed a heated argument between them and showed my husband pushing his mother down the stairs. David was seen repeatedly slamming her head against the floor in a distressingly merciless manner. And after seeing her pass away, he was seen smirking. I couldn't forgive what you did, but before going to the police, I wanted to hear it from you. Did you also do something to your father? Once he realized all the evidence was against him, David's true nature was revealed as he glared at me menacingly.
Yeah, I was the one who pushed my dad into the river.
You admit to it all.
Yes, I did both. but I'll be damned if I let the police catch me. Now, hand over the keys to the safe and the video camera.
No way. Mary risked her life to leave this behind. I won't hand it over to someone like you.
Okay, fine by me. Then I'll just silence you and search for it later.
He approached me with a sinister smile. Stop! Don't add more crimes.
Shut up.
In an instant, he grabbed me and put me in a chokehold from behind.
Go to hell, bitch.
But at that moment, a violent impact threw both me and David to the floor. I realized then that John had body slammed him, coming to my rescue. John, thank you. I hugged him as he barked in response. However, David got up, more deranged than ever.
Damn dog, I'll kill you all.
Then he raised a golf club. But then we heard the faint sound of police sirens.
What is it? Police cars?
Everything you just confessed was heard by the police. Saying that, I held my smartphone up in front of David. I had secretly dialed 911 and kept the line open with the police listening in. Then, my husband's earlier bravado was nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, he threw away the golf club and prostrated himself on the spot, his face pale with fear.
Julie, please, tell the police it was a mistake. My life will be over if this continues.
You take the lives of your own parents and now beg for leniency. Also, I secretly installed hidden cameras in this room, too. That will be handed over to the police as evidence.
No, I finally got my hands on the money. I won't get caught.
David broke down in childish sobs, but I had no sympathy for him. I handed over all the evidence and his custody to the arriving police, watching them take him away with John by my side. Afterward, David was convicted for his crimes. He will likely spend the rest of his life behind bars. Our divorce was finalized, and I claimed $30,000 in damages and the funeral expenses I had fronted, received through a lawyer. His mother's estate was left to her relatives as per her will found in the safety deposit box. Surprisingly, she had also left a will instructing that money be given to me and John, and I received a significant sum from her relatives along with their apologies. After everything was settled, I visited the graves of my in-laws to report back, feeling as if Mary in heaven says,
Thank you.
I felt like I heard the word. And I will continue to live harmoniously with my beloved family, along with John.